you something uncomfortable. Your life changes when you stop asking yourself, why does this thing keep happening to me? And you start asking yourself, what pattern am I missing? Do you ever notice how your life has a strange way of repeating itself? Same kind of heartbreaks, same disappointment, same fear, same mistakes, same, all these things are the same. Different people, different places, different timing, but all the same thing. And after a while, you start wondering, why is this always happening to me? When the proper question is, what is this trying to teach me? Because patterns are information. They reveal habits, blind spots, wounds, needs, fears, and sometimes even opportunities. Think about it. Do you always quit when things get hard? Do you always procrastinate whenever something matters to you? Do you shrink yourself when attention comes your way? Do you overthink yourself out of opportunities? All these are patterns, and there are good patterns too. Maybe when you rest enough, you're more productive. Maybe when you surround yourself with certain people, your life changes. Maybe when you do certain things differently, you get better results. Maybe when you are able to rest just enough, you are able to do a lot of work. Maybe when you retire to yourself, you are able to take on anything and everybody. All these are patterns. Patterns can either be good or bad. But the question you should ask yourself is that, how can I capitalize on these patterns to make my life better? Patterns don't only expose problems, they expose possibilities. And this is where growth changes everything. Because once you notice a pattern, you can decide how to capitalize on that pattern, that it changes your life. Because once you notice a pattern, you can work with it. So instead of judging yourself, instead of being judgmental about yourself, study yourself. Become curious. Ask yourself questions. Instead of fighting, study yourself. Ask yourself, what triggers me? What do I care about the most? What keeps repeating? What happens whenever I get too angry? What happens whenever I get too sad? What happens whenever I get overly excited? What is that thing that I do whenever I feel like everything is going right? What is that habit that I need to stop, that whenever I do it, it affects certain things that go on in my life? When do I feel my best? When do I feel my worst? What kind of environment help me grow? What keeps repeating in my life? What type of people trigger me? What type of people bring out the best in me? What type of people do I need to stay clear from? And what kind of people do I need to entertain as I grow? Because growth is not random. Growth leaves clues. And this is where most people miss it. They wait for motivation. But growth is about patterns. Tiny repeated choices. Patterns repeated on purpose. The books you read, the habits you feed, the thoughts you feed, the things you tolerate, the standards that you tolerate. Little things repeated long enough becomes your life. If every morning you speak to yourself harshly, that becomes a pattern. If every setback makes you quit, that becomes a pattern. If every time life hurts you, you isolate yourself, you withdraw to yourself, you try to hurt yourself, you down talk yourself, that becomes a pattern too. But the beautiful thing, patterns can change slowly. You don't have to transform overnight. You just have to interrupt the pattern. Pause before reacting. Choose differently once, then again, then again, then again. And then suddenly, slowly, the things that once controlled your life now become something that you have outgrown. Because maybe growth is not about becoming someone completely different. It's about realizing what repeats itself in your life and deciding what deserves to continue and what doesn't. So you can tell me what patterns that you have noticed in your life that keeps repeating on and on, not just the bad patterns, but also the good patterns. Because the thing about patterns is that they have good ones, they have bad ones. They have patterns that you always say, oh God, why me, not again. And something you always tell yourself that, oh, this thing, if I do it this way, I know it will work out. That's a pattern. Patterns are not always bad. They are also good ones too. So capitalize on the good patterns and let's go of the things that always bring out bad results. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Mwah.